Hey, true crime listeners. Today we're honoring Dina Tormos, who, at the age of 18 years old, her life was violently taken by her boyfriend so unexpectedly. Alberto Mesa, who at the time was 23 years old, met Dina, who was 18, in a bowling alley, and they hit it off from there. They were steadily dating for about 6 months. Dina had moved into her own apartment after graduating from Coral Gables High School in 1984. Dina's mother lived in Key Biscayne and was divorced from Dina's father. After Dina graduated, she had started working at a restaurant in Coral Gables, and Alberto worked for a company that buys and sells musical instruments. According to what Alberto told his brother, his company had arranged for him to travel to California for 5 days in late January of 1985. As soon as he returned from his trip, his family noticed a sudden change in him. He started ranting about the Bible and the devil, worshiping the devil more than anything else. Mind you, Alberto and his family were known to be Catholic, not fanatics, but they believed in God, not the devil. Dina's mother also mentioned that she told her that Alberto had decided to give up sex for Lent. So for those of you who might not know, Lent means a 40-day period of preparation for Easter, excluding Sundays, from Ash Wednesday to Easter Sunday, which would mean that he would not be having sex for 40 days, which Dina respected, but she was starting to have second thoughts about that relationship. Now, at this point, he's just becoming stranger with his behaviors and the things he's saying. It got to a point where in the evening of March 2nd of that same year, they were both hanging out in his place, and here comes Alberto again with his strange rants. Dina was just getting annoyed, and they started arguing about it. But here comes Alberto. He loses it and grabs a hunting knife and starts stabbing Dina until she is left lifeless. We're talking about 40 to 50 stab wounds. But that wasn't enough. He then beheaded her, taking her head for a walk with him. It was around 6 o'clock in the morning where Alberto's brother, Rene, heard a rock hitting his window. When Rene peeks outside, he sees Alberto completely naked with bloody arms and holding something. Guess what, guys? It's Dina's head. But Rene couldn't tell what it was because it was dark. Alberto started screaming at Rene, telling him to call the police because he had killed the devil. She was the devil, he said. Rene immediately called the police, but also noticed that Alberto had left on foot. Minutes later, a policeman spotted him by the metro rail in the Coconut Grove area, leaning against a support column. As the police approaches him, Alberto threw the head at the police and shouted, "I killed her. She's the devil." The police, of course, immediately took him into custody and backup was requested for assistance. The cops tracked the traces of blood, which led him to Alberto's apartment, where they found Dina's headless body and the knife used. Days later, Alberto appeared for a bond hearing by video camera before the Dade Circuit Judge, who ordered him to be held without bond on first-degree murder charges and requested a psychiatric evaluation. During the time of the hearing, Alberto went crazy again, said the bailiff, Brad Gardner. He was just yelling erratically. Alberto was held at the Dade County Jail in a suicide prevention safety cell with no fixtures, no clothes. When the press tried to reach out to approached Alberto's parents, they declined to talk about their son, which actually lived in the efficiency apartment on their property. Alberto was charged with first-degree murder but was found not guilty by reason of insanity in a non-jury trial. He was sent to the Florida Department of Health and Rehab Services. Dina's memorial was held on Key Biscayne, and her friends from Coral Gables High spoke of her. They said, "It's kind of a sad place around here," said Dixie Parkin, who was an education teacher that taught that year. The teacher also shared that Dina had recently won second place in a district contest on sales demonstrations and went on to place 10th on the state. On December 2nd, 1987, Alberto had a hearing scheduled to determine his mental state. During the hearing, his attorney stated that if he is declared sane enough to leave the mental hospital where he has been held since the beheading of his girlfriend, there may not be any place for him to go. After that hearing to determine his mental state, the assistant public defender, Herb Smith, said that his client could join others acquitted by reason of insanity who cannot return to the community. The State Department of Health and Rehab Services has to create some type of facility for people ready to leave more restrictive settings and compel private facilities receiving state money to accept mentally ill defendants like Alberto, he said. Alberto sat quietly as two psychiatrists testified. He had shown signs of recovery from the psychotic episode he suffered in 1985 when he stabbed and beheaded his 18-year-old girlfriend, Dina. After continuous research, I've been unable to find out how much longer he was in prison or the mental health facility where he was being held at, even where he is today, or if he's even still alive. But if he is, he would be 63 years old today. Now, this is a very touchy subject because Dina's life ended in such a tragic way that nobody would want to wish this on anybody. But you also have Alberto, who was clearly not in his right state of mind and possibly could have avoided this tragedy if he would have sought for help on time. And the reason for me saying this is because Dina's mother stated that Alberto was the nicest person Dina had ever dated. Her exact words were, "He was a sensible, stable person. The nicest person she'd gone out with in a long time. I can't be embittered. I know what kind of person he was." Now, a comment like this one comes to show that those you least suspect from are struggling with their mental health. I can't stress enough saying to let's just be more kind to one another and have more compassion. We never know what other people's struggles are, and it is okay to seek for help if you're not feeling well. You're not alone. There are many resources available that are there to support you. There is also a crisis hotline available 24/7, and that number is 988. Don't feel embarrassed or ashamed. Counselors are there to support you during this time. Do it now before it's too late, like it was for Alberto and Dina, who's no longer with us. Today we honor Dina Tormos, a young soul who would have been 58 years old today, probably with a career, a family, grandchildren, and a life to account for. But unfortunately, Alberto took that away from her and ruined his as well. Thank you guys for listening. Stay tuned for more true crime stories and make sure to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.